Welcome to another episode of Out of the Pods. I'm Deepti.
And I'm Natalie, and happy Wednesday, guys. This is the episode I feel like most of you were waiting for. It is our dating series episode, something that we'll always continue on talking about, but today is all about dating, our dating updates, little scenarios we have found ourselves in recently. And then we also asked some of you to send in your anonymous dating relationship stories, and we'll provide our advice. What it might not be good, but here we are. We're all friends here, so
Yeah, we'll try our best. But you know what? People have always come to me for advice my whole life. I'm not good at taking it, but I'm good at giving it. So I'm excited for this series.
no, she is very, very good at giving advice. You really, really are.
You.
I mean,
That's so
sometimes
sweet.
I always thought like you're a very like positive, you are a very optimistic person, but when you give advice, especially relationship or dating advice, you give it so straightforward and you're not very positive. You're always like, cut that bitch out of your life. And I was like, okay.
No, I'm trying to be realistic, but at the same time, you have to go through what you go through. So,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Well, before we get into that, we have some Love is Blind news.
we sure do. There's
Yeah.
something in the air. There's something
There
in the
is.
air.
There's a lot of love and babies. But first up on the news docket, the married couples of season one, so Lauren and Cameron and Amber and Barnett, celebrated their 5-year wedding anniversaries a few weeks ago.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's insane. 5
Yeah.
years.
So they got married November 2018.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That just, I feel old. Not even
No,
though,
I know.
I don't know. Wow, that's insane. Also,
I can't
congratulations to
believe.
them.
Yes, congratulations to those couples. Lauren and Cameron had so much love on social media. I mean, they are the it couple of the Love is Blind franchise, so no surprise there. But they had exclusive photos for People magazine. I think, were like in Las Vegas
Yeah,
celebrating their anniversary.
so they renewed their vows in like a little
Mm,
ceremony. I think they did like a thing with a Vegas hotel, I think it was.
okay.
Like a little collab thing, and then they did all these pictures. It looked beautiful.
Oh, yeah, they are
They're
beautiful people,
stunning.
and the photos were
Mhm.
beautiful. But I
Yeah.
felt a little bit bad for Amber and Barnett. I did see someone commented on like the post that People put up on their Instagram page of Lauren and Cameron, and someone commented like, "What about Amber and Barnett?" And Amber, I think, commented back being like, "Oh, like thank you, but we don't want the attention." But
Yeah,
I still felt bad because I feel like they've kind of removed themselves from the franchise, which makes sense based on the backlash they got from their After the Altar. Um, but I don't know. It just, I feel like they're kind of like forgotten a little
I
bit.
think I think they want to be,
Yeah.
I feel like they distance themselves for a reason, and I think it comes back to, again, trust with the production company, and I think that's really what it stems down to, because I'm sure like Amber trusted the situation of After the Altar, but then, obviously her she was just like, I don't know. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think that they are purposefully trying to distance themselves. And so for that, I'm like, I'm proud of them for that. They're not like trying to, be too much into the limelight and just kind of live their own lives. And I still follow them and I see what they're up to, which is nice, but they don't
Yeah.
post
Good.
that
Yeah.
much.
I don't blame them either.
Yeah.
I feel like because they were season one, too, the backlash was so big. Like, remember when Jessica, like in her villain role, when their season came out, like there was memes of her everywhere on my feed. And I
Hmm.
hadn't even watched the season yet, but I knew exactly who she was because she was just like memeified so hard. Like
Yeah.
people were posting her everywhere.
No, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah,
So
it's kind
yeah.
of wild. But also from season one, Giannina, oh my gosh, our girl G,
Oh,
and
yay.
the Bachelorette's Blake Horseman announced that they're expecting their first baby.
I
I
know.
am
How crazy is
so
that?
I'm so excited for her. Like already I just know she's going to be such a cute pregnant woman. Like she already has a tiny little bump and she's so cute. Like I just can't
Yeah.
say enough positive things about her. I fucking love her.
I wish It's so hard because I wish everyone like was able to see the Giannina as she is today, because I think that her edit on season one was a little bit like, like messy, but she was so young. I think people forget that she was like 25 and now she's
Yeah.
30. But when we met her for lunch here in Chicago, I was like, wow, you are so down to earth. You are
Yeah.
like very loving. She is very, very kind. I feel like her edit on Love is Blind season one did not do her justice. And I think that also was a reminder for us about how, like, what we see on the show, like the edit that people get on the show isn't always reflective to like who they are every day.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're seeing
So,
like such a
yeah.
small part of someone's life, but yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's like such a
Yeah.
different vibe when you see somebody in person and you're around their energy versus seeing like little tidbits of their reactions to like a situation on screen. Like it's such a different person, you know?
I know. I always have to like remind myself, like, hey, just like I think I'm very different than how it's portrayed on the show. Like that is one dimension of me, and I have, different facets of that make up who I am. That's the same for everyone across the seasons. I remember
Mhm.
we went a little bit hard on Yoli from the Ultimatum Queer Love season one, but she is now based in Chicago. And I was at this influencer event, and I was talking to a content creator who had met Yoli, and they're like, we watched the ultimatum, but she is so nice in real life. She is very like giving, kind, considerate. So that's just a reminder that like we are reacting when we do our recaps just to what is on screen versus people as people. So
Yeah. And also, not to mention, like somebody in a relationship and what they do and seeing such a small snippet of that relationship is way different than how someone acts like socially with friends or new acquaintances. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
yeah.
Continuing our baby news, season four's Bliss and Zach announced they are also expecting. This is the first baby from a couple who met on the franchise. So this is very, very exciting. I feel like Vanessa, this is like her dream right now. She's probably like wahooing in her
Oh,
home.
she's
So
so happy.
I know, I'm sure. I saw a comment somewhere on like one of the posts about the pregnancy where it says, "Congratulations to Bliss, Zach, and Vanessa Lachey."
Yeah. So another comment was like, Vanessa is foaming at the mouth right now, like so happy. I was like, oh my God. But also, I am so surprised that the first Love is Blind couple baby is from season 4. I for sure thought it would be a couple from season 1, but like I'm so excited. Like the first Love is Blind baby, like what's gonna happen? I wonder if they're gonna do like little baby clothes merch now. Like baby bottle, like I don't even know. Love is bottle.
Or baby is blind.
Baby,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it's really great. It's very, very sweet. I think it shows that like these relationships, most relationships that are formed on Love is Blind are very serious
yeah.
relationships, like serious marriages. But I think regardless if a couple chooses to have kids or not, like I don't think it indicates like anything, beyond that. But I think it shows like, I don't know, it's not just for TV. I think this is just kind
Yeah.
of one like a little pinpoint of that.
And it's interesting that you bring up timelines too, because I think when like big news like this happens, where again there's so many milestones happening, like for example the 5-year anniversaries that are being celebrated, the 2 baby announcements. I think like it makes me kind of think about my own life, not in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that like I'm trying to compare in any way, because listen, everyone's path is so different and you should embrace your own journey to whatever milestone. But it does make me like take a step back and think like, oh my gosh, let me assess where I am in life and like think about it. But I've been thinking about dating a lot, which is very fitting for this episode.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I feel like there's definitely like a pressure now to settle down, and I hate that there's this pressure,
Yeah,
but I definitely feel it not only
don't
with like
feel
the
it.
Love is Blind franchise. I tend
Hmm.
to kind of like that doesn't impact like what I think about when, like timeline in terms of like settling down, having a family, but with my friends, like with my
Mm.
non-LIB friends. Like my friends are now getting engaged, getting married, thinking about having kids, or just like thinking about things like buying a home together, what their future looks like, being, combining families, things like that. So obviously I'm not having those thoughts, and I'm getting to a place of like, wow, I would like love to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like sometimes I do have those thoughts because my childhood friends, especially coming from like a smaller city, they're all of the mindset of like starting a family young. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like not in that mindset. Like if I think about this all the time, imagine if I had said yes to my mom and gotten married at like
Your
22.
mom.
Yeah, she wanted me to get married at 2023 as soon as I was out of college. And
To
like
who?
she had an arranged marriage like
Oh, no
all
way.
set
I
up.
didn't know
Yeah.
this.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah. So she like wanted me to get married right after college. She's like, "Now you're done." And I was like, "Absolutely not. Like I want to live on my own. I want to do my own thing." Imagine if I had said yes, like none of this would have come to fruition. Like just being on the show, having this experience, meeting you, having this podcast, all the incredible opportunities that I've been given in life, like none of that would have happened
Mm.
had I succumbed to someone else's timeline. So, like, I do think about that sometimes where I'm like, oh, like, I wish I was married. I wish I was this. But then it's like, but then you wouldn't have all the things that you have now, you know? So I'm like, okay, we
Yeah.
can't compare.
Okay, I love talking to you because like this is the first time we've had this conversation where sometimes I'll be like, oh, like, like when we were thinking about egg freezing and like going through
Hmm.
that process, I'm like, oh, like I feel like the pressure, like, should I do it now? Because I don't know what my future looks like, but I want kids. And then you feel this weird pressure of like, do I have to start thinking about kids right now too? But then I
Yeah.
remember you saying like, oh, but look at how like we've been able to achieve other things, like our dreams, to just like try something new and get out of the box. And I was like, you're right. I think that if I focused on just getting married, trying to find someone to like have kids with or like a family with, we wouldn't
Hmm.
have gotten this far.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm thankful for the journey. But you're right in the sense that, like, if you're feeling like, okay, I do want a partner now to go through life with, I think that's important. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know. Have you, well, can you, first of all, can you give us a little update on what's going on with your personal life and the dating world? Because a lot of people have been asking like what's happening, especially because in our last couple episodes, you know, he kind of made a little cameo appearance. So I'm
When
like,
he decided to use the bathroom during our recording, and I was like, really? It's
yeah.
like you couldn't wait like 10 more minutes.
Uh,
um okay, are you talking about New York boy?
yes, of course I'm talking about New York. Is there
I
another
know.
boy?
So, we are still talking. We actually, I was thinking about saying this and I was like, I'll just say it to see if anyone else can relate. But we took a little break, like we broke up for a little bit, because we couldn't figure out our future in terms of like location. So he's obviously based in New York City and I'm here in Chicago.
Hmm.
And we felt like it was too early to even decide on a future, and our leases were ending soon, and we're like, what do we do? um and so we're like, maybe we should just like end it. Like this is really hard to start a relationship from like starting long distance from the very beginning. And then, we got back together and now we're just taking it like even slower just to see if we could like make it worth. And this sounds bad to say it like this, but if it's worth it, here's my thing. Like my entire family is here in Chicago. How I envision my future is that I would have kids and live near my family. Like
Yeah.
they'd be raised and have like grandparents around, their aunt who's my sister, and because that's how I was raised, and it was so like I loved it. I loved just
Hmm.
having my family around me. I already did the stint of like moving. I lived in San Francisco, Atlanta, and Boston before I moved back to Chicago. And so, like, for me, I'm like, oh, I've already tried everything and I've always wanted to come back to Chicago. Like, I think I'm just like, love living here. So I don't know. When we were, I wouldn't call it a break, but when we broke up, I immediately, like, I like immediately went to my back burner options from
Yeah,
like a few months prior.
that's what the back burners are for.
And I went on dating apps and everything. I was like wild.
Yeah,
And
you were feral.
I was a little feral. I was swiping on dating apps as if I looked like Gigi Hadid. Like I was like,
That's what you do though. That's what the fucking difference is between dating apps and seeing people in real life. You like connect with their energy or you're like, oh, there's some chemistry here. But when you're
yeah,
on dating apps, you become so judgmental. Not you, but like
yes.
people. You become
No, I'm
so like,
judgmental.
yes. And you're like, oh, what do you do? Like, and if you meet somebody out at a bar, you're just like, oh, I didn't even ask you what you did until like the third date. I'm just kidding.
No, I know. I
But
feel like
yeah,
if I meet someone like in person, so not on a
yeah.
dating app, not through social media, I'm like, they could literally be my opposite type. And I feel like if I feel some sort of like fun chemistry with them, then I'm in. It doesn't matter what their job is, how much they make. I don't care if he lives in a shoebox. I'm like, I'm in. But on a dating app, I was like, I want like George Clooney circa
Yes.
2005.
Circa
Like,
2005. So that's who you're in. Okay, that's your type,
and you need
huh?
to make at least $10 million or I'm out because
Uh,
I don't want to work anymore. I want to lay down.
I want to be on a yacht. No.
I want to sleep till 10 a.m. every day.
Well, with your 9 hours.
Nanny's taking care of my kids.
I was going to say, with the
That's
amount
what I
of 9
think.
hours of sleep that you get, you're probably on
Yeah.
sleeping till 10.
Okay, in our last few episodes, when I talked about how I get 9 to 11 hours of sleep, people are like, oh, I used to get that much before I had kids. And in my head, I was like, okay, now I got to marry like a multi-billionaire because I'm not giving up those 9 to 11 hours of sleep. For my child? No.
If I have, kidding, but
I'm literally not kidding. If I need a multi-millionaire husband or billionaire, preferably, but like that's a very closed like set of people, like a very small population. Okay, multi-millionaire. I need him to like invent a robot who will just like, you know, like nurse my kid in the middle of the night.
Absolutely not. You and I are such opposites because I'm like, please take my sleep. I want to have a baby so badly. I just don't want the partner yet.
What?
I want a baby, but I don't really want the significant others as much as I do the baby.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy? I've wanted to be a mom since I was like probably 20. Like I've always had it in me. Like I was babysitting since I was like 16. Always wanted that life. That's the one part about not being in a relationship that I'm like kind of like, oh shit, like as I'm getting older, I'm gonna get more tired if I have a baby. Like
Yeah.
but anyways, back to the whole dating app BS world. That's why I'm not, one of the reasons why I'm not on dating apps is for this reason. It's because I have such high expectations, but like also I'm not perfect. So like why are my expectations so high?
No, I'm telling you, I swipe like a supermodel as if I'm like a literal like a Dior Chanel supermodel.
First of all, you are.
No, okay, I know most of you are listening. I have this huge, gigantic pimple on my cheek. That's all I had to say.
That's it. That's the story.
And I look like the man right now who smells people hairs from Charlie's Angels. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? That villain? He has like a middle part and he wears a suit that's pinstriped. And then he like cuts one of the angel's hairs, like just the tip of like and then just sniffs it. He loves like sniffing human hair.
What about that? Wait, what's the connection here?
Oh, I look like him right now.
Wait, I want to see. Okay,
After this, you could look up
I'll look it
man
up.
who actually go look it up right now. Sniff hair Charlie's Angels is what you should Google.
Sniff hair Charlie's Angels. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking this up. Sniff hair.
Yeah, and then he makes out with Cameron Diaz, who's like obviously in Charlie's Angels, like the reboot movie version.
Oh my fucking God, are you kidding me? I'm fucking God. I'm
Okay.
cackling.
Guys, if you want to know what I look like right now, if you're listening, please Google man who sniffs hair, Charlie's Angels movie.
Oh my God, I'm fucking dead. I would have never thought of this character. Wow, wow,
I
wow,
think about
wow.
him like really often every time I do a middle part because
Okay, wait,
I
really?
think about him.
Ugh, I could never do a middle part. I'm so millennial. I could never.
No, I know. It really hurts
I'm
my soul
sticking with
every
my.
time. um the thing that was really hard about being on them is I feel like 1 out of 3 matches knew I was from Love is Blind. Like, so I was
Mhm.
on Hinge, and the way it works is like a guy who is, if a guy swipes right on you, he can either like send you a like or like write something as he sends you a like.
Yeah,
And all of it was like, are you from that show, Love is Blind? Or they'd be like, wow, you really like dodged a bullet. Like that guy, mama, or like something along those lines. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's so, I don't know, it's like so
it's annoying.
embarrassing.
It's not
Yeah.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It should be embarrassing to them because these are men watching it. And I'm just gonna like, why are you watching the show? Why are
Yeah.
you
Why are you
into
watching
it?
it alone?
Why are they sending you a message like that? Like as if you sent them that message, it's gonna make it any like if it's gonna give them any like credit or brownie points to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna message like Natalie this and she's gonna actually pick me. You know what I mean? Like, why would you think that that works? Is my
Yeah.
question.
So,
Men.
Hinge was weird because I did see one of my exes on it and that was weird. And then he liked me and I was like, what do I do with this? And I almost thought about texting him, but I was like, past is in the past. And then this one guy, we actually ended up setting up a date. Again, this is when me and New York Boy were broken up. And I just want to make that
I,
clear.
I'm fucking dying
And
over here.
so he's like acting like he doesn't know anything about me. He's like, oh, like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I do social media. And he's like, oh, like, but where are you from? Like, all asking me questions as if nothing. I don't give my last name. I don't give like any information of who I am. So we set up a date, but he tells me like, oh, after our date, I'm gone for 6 weeks because I'm doing this huge Asia trip. I'm going to Japan, Bali, and then I come back to Chicago. And the day after I come back, I go to Indiana. So he's like, I won't see you for 6 weeks. Just want to let you know, but I'd love to see you before I go on this like 6 weeks adventure. And I was like, okay. I ended up texting and be like, hey, you know what? Let's reschedule until for like after you're back and see if we're still both up for it. Because in my mind, I was like, a lot can change in 6 weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's like, okay. He goes, you could add me on Instagram so you could follow along my travels. Like, hope to see you in January. And I don't end up like giving him my Instagram handle. So he asked like we could follow each other on Instagram. I kind of ignore that and be like, here are some recs for Japan because he's going to Japan. And I was like, okay, like good luck. You know, maybe I'll see you in January. Obviously,
January. Jeez
yeah, that's when he's
Louise.
back.
That's a
So
long
anyway, so that's
time.
that. He
I'm
follows me on Instagram.
oh, he found you?
I don't know if he found me or like followed me already, but I found him. I looked it up because he had his company
Oh.
name of a company he owns on his Hinge profile. And he said CEO and founder of this company. And so it was
Hmm.
very easy because it's like a 1 or 2 person company
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or like a 4 person company. But I was like, CEO of this company. Obviously, his name comes up. So I looked him up on Instagram and he already followed me. So he knew exactly who I was, but he was acting like he didn't. And I feel like that's creepy.
That is creepy, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad you didn't go on the date because I don't think you're going on the date in January.
Yeah. I feel
Well,
like
this is
no.
well, I mean, okay, can we just like really quickly think about that though? Even if he did know who you are, I guess it's the opposite sides you're seeing. On the one hand, people are like, oh my gosh, I know exactly who you are. And that's the first message you see. Whereas on the other hand, it's like they're pretending they don't know and like kind of easing into it. So I don't know, which
Mm.
would you prefer on a
Oh, that's
dating
such a
app?
good point. Well, I
Right?
feel like he should have unfollowed me and just like acted like he didn't know me. I'd
But
rather
then that's like,
know but not know and then bring it up in person after our first date.
yeah, like if things are hitting it,
Like,
if you're hitting
yeah,
it off.
the thing that bothered me about this guy is he acted like he didn't know who I was.
Right. Like
And
he's
then he follows
actively.
me. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was like, look, if you already follow me on Instagram, don't act like you don't know. Like, just like be more like, oh, like, where do you live? I don't know. Like,
I'm so dead. Can I tell you, this is literally some of the reasons why I hate dating apps. And I just nothing about it makes me like want to be like, I'm going to sign up for this. The only reason I liked dating apps in the past is because it gave me confidence. It was an ego boost. That's the only reason I used it for, really. Like, I'd be like, oh, yeah, he's hot. Oh, cool. Like, he thinks I'm hot too. Wonderful. Like, you know what I mean? And you just have like
Yeah.
a little bit of banter, but I've never taken it seriously. And like, I've just been in general thinking about like, I don't know. I just don't think that even if when I'm ready to start dating, I don't think I'm going to go back to dating apps.
Anyways, well, can you tell us about your little dating situation? Because I feel like there's been quite a few ups and downs since you last talked about Canadian boy.
Yes, there has been lots of things to unpack there. Honestly, I feel like both of us in this like talking situation that we're in was just kind of like we were kind of using each other because I don't know, we had a connection, but I don't think like it's gonna go anywhere. So I've like, dissolved it. We've
Really? Like
we
actually
haven't
dissolved it
well
since
like we
we
have
last spoke?
we haven't completely moved on, but like
Oy vey.
weirdly, I don't know, like we like have moments where we think about each other and we'll send each other things. And I think that's like fine. And we just leave it there. But can I tell you, like, if I'm being super fucking honest with you, I am for the first time in my entire life, I am so, so, so happy with being single. And let me tell you a little bit about why I am super happy being single. Like, and why I'm choosing to be single. Cause I think like when people ask us updates about our lives, they're like, oh, like, who are you dating? Like, what are you like? That's always like kind of the vibe sometimes. And I'm like, why do I have to be dating somebody? Most of my adult life, I have literally been in a relationship. In college, I dated somebody for 3 years. After that, like a year later, 6 year relationship. And then 1 year later, it was Love is Blind. And then I'm finally like single. And it feels so good to kind of understand myself and really learn who I am as a person without a partner. I think it's like,
Yes. I've seen that
right?
in you. Okay. We've talked about this before. I feel like when you were with Kyle, you were like, there was what you do, and I think this is like your loyalty to someone is like you focus a lot on them. You like
Oh,
make sure that
100%.
like if they're happy, you're happy type of thing. And I feel
Yes.
like, and if you guys, I know you guys don't really know Deepti as deeply as I do, but one thing about Deepti is her happiness comes from like her friends and family's happiness. So like I feel like you spend a lot of energy making sure the people around you are good.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
so what I love, and we've talked about this, what I love about like who you are today is you no longer are like as worried about other people's happiness, but like now your own.
Yes, I'm like learning to set those boundaries, but it's been a journey and it's been a process. But exactly like you said, like in relationships, I tend to just like get so intertwined with my partner and like what his needs are that like
Mhm.
I put myself second and I almost kind of lose my identity or I have in the past because I just feel like I need to become a version of myself that's almost perfect for my partner because
Yeah.
I'm so scared of like being alone or just like I have fear of wholeheartedly like being myself because I feel like they'll leave me. And it's such a terrible place to be. But like a lot of my life, I've lived like that because I didn't love myself. And I'm truly, I think, I'm so grateful for the show, not only because it gave me friendships, but it also like gave me the mindset, oh my gosh, like you better love yourself and you better choose yourself first before you can even be in like a loving relationship. Because for me, I feel like just in my next relationship, I just want to be like whole. Like I want to be I don't know, different from all the other relationships that I've had in the past, where I just want to be so completely myself and be living in the version of myself that I'm super proud of, my healthiest self, so that I can add to somebody's life and not take from them. Like, I'm not expecting my next partner to fill a void in me or to like I don't know, like, I don't know, feel like a missing piece of me or anything like that. I'm looking for
Yeah.
somebody that I can add value to and be like, this is what I love to do. And I hope we can like learn to build a life together from it. And like, it's not as much like take. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Okay, I have two follow-up questions for you. Do you know what attachment style you are? Like, do you know
I
what attachment theory is?
Yes, I am literally in the past. I know that I'm an anxious attachment style because my partners have cheated on me in the past.
Mm.
So when I'm not around them, I get very anxious, which means I spend 24/7 with them. And so that's definitely the attachment style I am. But I don't want to be that attachment style anymore.
Yeah.
What about you?
At least you're aware of it. I feel like,
Mhm.
awareness is like the first step in making, like knowing that is your style and what to do.
Absolutely.
I think I used to be secure, and then same thing. I think I got cheated on and it caused so much mistrust. I thought I was
Oh,
anxious, but I did a test and it makes sense. I'm like a fearful avoidant.
really?
Yeah.
That's intriguing.
And the crazy thing is, like, none of the traits of fearful avoidance,
Hmm.
I don't remember me having those traits in my like early relationships. And
Yeah.
then I could name like two that really changed it, where I was like, I felt like, oh my God, I'm like unworthy. Like,
Oh,
this dude
yeah.
cheated on me.
Hmm. Yeah. It's
Um,
crazy how we look inward when bad things happen to us, but we look for external validation when it comes to like praise or like, positive things, if that makes sense.
yeah.
It's just so, yeah.
But it's very interesting. I mean, I'm not surprised you are an anxious one. I always thought you were actually avoidant
Hmm.
because I thought in the beginning, with your situation with Canadian guy, I actually thought
Hmm.
that you were avoidant for a little bit.
Yeah.
What happened with that? Actually, I want to ask because I know you guys are still in contact, but like, why are you still in contact?
I told you guys earlier, but I am in my single girl era.
Woo!
And I definitely don't feel like walking anywhere to pick up food in this cold Chicago winter. So my go-to lately has been Factor. This means less time thinking about what I'm going to eat, less time in the kitchen, and less time meal prepping. It's exactly what I need in my life. Natalie, have you tried Factor before?
I have tried Factor before and I love Factor. So their meals are delivered straight to my door and I just eat it. Oh, well, that sounds weird. What I'm trying to say is they are literally ready to eat. It's so effortless. You don't need a microwave. And it's also great that they have these super wholesome meals like grain bowls and salad toppers. I just feel really good about myself when I eat their meals. And it's also all just very convenient.
Yeah, we clearly love convenience over here. And you can even do add ons like cold pressed juices and my personal favorite, smoothies. If anyone listening also loves convenience like us, use our code. Head to factormeals.com/out of the pods 50 and use code out of the pods 50 to get 50% off.
That's code out of the pods 50 at factormeals.com/ out of the pods 50 to get 50% off.
Ooh, don't even get me started because I'm gonna throw that same question back at you, woman. Don't you even dare. No, I'm just kidding. I think there's something about him. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not like actively seeking to be in a relationship. I'm not actively dating. And so I welcome communication if it makes sense. Like my communication with him doesn't hurt me in any way and I'm not hurting him in any way. There's expectations like we are long distance. We know that we're not physically seeing each other right now. And if we were to start seeing other people, I just know that our communication would probably dissipate. But if I'm listening to a song and I think about him, I'm going to send it to him. He does the same thing
Okay.
for me.
It's
And
just like
that's
a
where we're
little
at.
flirty
Yeah.
texting just
Like
to
yeah, here and there, we're
have
like, hey, this made me
someone.
think of you. Why not send it to that person, especially when there's no like ties to anybody else right now?
Okay.
Well, can I ask you, what are you doing? I'm actually like,
Well, I'm a
I'm
dumbass.
I'm
I
not
mean,
judging you because I think that you need to like take your time and get to where you need to go with this relationship and figure out what you need to figure out. But I also think that New York man, I just want you to say goodbye to him. But I will be here. Waiting for
Well,
the day. Just
okay, the
kidding.
only reason Deepti is saying this right now is because she wants me to get with her friend.
Absolutely not. In
Oh,
fact,
oh
I
wait,
want the
actually,
opposite.
you're right. I forgot how that ended. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we were at a Friendsgiving party last week that was hosted by our friends, but they're closer. They're Deepti's best friends who I've gotten to know through my friendship with Deepti. And there was a guy there who used to live in our building, but like he lived in the building before Deepti had moved in. I would see him at the pool during the summertime, and we got to know each other like pretty well. And then he moved out. Didn't think anything of it, and then Deepti just decides to surprise me, and she's all like, "Oh, this guy has had, or my friend has had an interest in you for like a long time. I don't
Yeah,
know."
okay, so I didn't even know that he had an interest in you, Natalie, until that day because he was actually like talking to someone else. And actually, you guys, for our listeners, I was literally telling Natalie about his girl that he's talking to. And I told this guy that has a crush on Natalie about how Natalie has New York dude.
Oh
So I
yeah, that
I
was
was
it.
telling them how they each had a person, but then at Friendsgiving, we were talking about how that there's potential to be single. Like, oh, I
But
take
you can't
Natalie
use
on
his
a
name.
date. Oh, I said his name. Can we bleep it out? That'd be funny.
Okay.
That'd be funny. Let's bleep it out. Let's bleep it out. But this person, we'll call him Ed. Ed. Ed was like, I have a crush on Natalie. I'd take her out on a date. And I was really, okay, I love being Cupid. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that would be so fun. But then I thought about it because I
She
just
thinks I'm
don't.
evil.
No,
She no, this was
I'm
your words.
scared.
Deepti was drunk, but this is what she said to me. She goes, I would support it. I would support it, but Ed's an angel and you are you're gonna break his heart. I just know it.
I
I just know it.
honestly, facts though. Ed is very wholesome.
I'm
Hasn't
wholesome.
really hasn't had a girlfriend in a while. Well, you have New York, man. You're too emotional right now to be making Ed.
Uh,
You are very wholesome too, but like, I think
oh,
you're
here's the thing. She's lying right now.
on a
Deepti is
level
lying through her teeth right now.
on a level of
That is not
wholesome
what you said.
on a
You and
level of
Ayana
wholesome
go, what?
on a level of wholesome here and you're here, but that doesn't mean both of
Oh
you
my God,
aren't
you used his name
wholesome.
again.
Whatever, will bleep him.
Okay.
Ed.
I know Deepti is in her single girl era, but I am in my adult acne era. I know I'm always talking about my acne breakouts on this podcast, but the holidays are coming up and there's ways for me and you guys to feel more confident about our skin this holiday season. And that's why we're so excited to partner with Apostrophe. I actually use them because I'm too lazy to make an appointment and go to the dermatologist's office. So it's great that I could just sit at home, talk to a dermatology team virtually, and get my prescription delivered straight to my door.
And if you guys don't know what Apostrophe is, it's an online platform that connects you with an expert derm team to get customized acne treatment for your unique skin. And through Apostrophe, you can also get access to oral and topical medications to help clear acne. For me, I want to reduce dark spots and improve my skin overall for 2024. And Apostrophe makes it super easy to get access to a team and a plan to help me with that.
And we have a special deal for our audience. Get your first visit for only $5 at apostrophe.com/out of the pods when you use our code out of the pods. That's a saving of $15. The code is only available to our listeners.
To get started, just go to apostrophe.com/out of the pods and click get started. Then use our code out of the pods at sign up and you'll get your first visit for only $5.
Thank you, Apostrophe, for sponsoring this episode. She is completely lying right now because here's the thing about Deepti. Drunk words are sober thoughts.
Absolutely.
I kept asking her that night, and Ayana was there too. So this was like a discussion between the three of us. So because what this guy, Ed, we're chatting and he asks me out on a date, and I was like, well, you figure out like, what's going on in your life, and we'll just like see. I was single at this point. I was still
She's
like
on her break.
I wasn't
Ross
seeing
and
New York
Rachel
guys.
style break.
And he's like, we'll just see. And Deepti's like, yeah, like on the side, being like, I love this. And he goes, okay, like I'll text you. He goes, let me know. like next week, like we'll just see. And I was like, okay. Like I was being awkward. I was like, okay. The moment he walks away, Deepti goes, don't you dare go on a date with Ed. And I was like, why? Why? And then her and Ayana are like, are you kidding me, Natalie? He's so nice and so sweet, and you're just going to corrupt him.
I mean, honestly.
And that was the end of the conversation. Truly.
I mean,
so this wholesome shit is a big fat lie.
well, also, I'm pretty sure I said it in front of him because I was like, I don't know about this.
Oh, did you say it in front of him?
I did. I said it in front of him because honestly, I'm going to be upfront. Both of you, I don't know, because here's the thing. I just don't want my two good friends to date because that doesn't end well. And I've been through this situation multiple times in my life where two of my friends have dated and I've had to pick sides, and I'm just, it gets complicated. So unless you're for sure and you're like, oh yeah, I have this attraction, and you're not using each other for attention because you just ended it with your others, fine, go for it. But right now, I just feel like you guys are just trying to get together for a little ego boost.
No, I mean, look, didn't he say that? Oh, you know what's really funny though? I didn't think that he actually liked me. So in the pool, I'd be like gross. Like I'd be shoving a sandwich down my throat and be like, "Nyah, nyah, nyah, nyah." Like I would just like eat it so fast in
Like
2 seconds.
mermaids.
And I would just like burp and stuff in front of him because I thought like, oh, like he doesn't like me. This guy is very particular. Like he's like, I want, you know, like a woman with who works out like I do. Like he goes, physical attraction means a lot to me. And then I
Yeah,
feel like,
he's
you know, it
picky.
must be something if I had my belly just out and me shoving like 3 sandwiches, Italian style sandwiches into my mouth. And like literally I did the little finger lip like
See, I think that's funny. You are so fucking funny. That's why. But
yeah.
honestly, I would ship it if you guys were real about it.
Yeah, that's what's tough. I have like I don't commit like very fast. Like it
Really?
takes
You
me
just did Love is Blind and got engaged in 8 days?
Dude, that's what I'm saying. After that, I was like, hell no, this doesn't work for me. I was like, I need an entire year to
I'm
figure this
fucking
shit out.
dead.
Yeah, I mean, no, I see it. You're right. Because I feel like if it ended badly, it would be awkward. Like I could never, I'm not very good at having like cordial relationships with my exes. No, that sounds bad. But you know, like I don't want to see them again necessarily.
Yeah, and I
So
guess it depends
I
on how
could,
serious you guys are, but like honestly, to go out and get a drink, who cares? Just go do it if you want to. Who am I? I'm sure I can. I mean, sadly for Ed, I'm gonna have to pick your side if it happens. And you know what? You're adults.
yeah, Ed is dead.
Yeah, poor Ed. I love him.
You can't spell end without Ed.
Oh,
Get
that
it?
was
Like if it
morbid.
ends, it's you know
Yeah. I
it's
see
his
the
fault.
joke you were trying to go for. It didn't land quite, but I like
Oh
it.
my god, we didn't tell the Brussels sprouts story.
Oh my God, the Brussels sprout story. First of all, you're
Okay.
dead to me because of the Brussels sprout story. Let me just tell you, I literally, in confidence, said this to you.
Wait,
Okay, you
let's start the
guys.
context. Same Friendsgiving. Yeah, obviously
Same
Deepti and I live in the
Friendsgiving.
same building, and so we went to this Friendsgiving together.
Oh
Like we
my
took an
gosh.
Uber there. And you want to share the details
Oh
about your
my
Brussels sprouts
goodness.
that you
Okay,
made?
so you guys, I was following this recipe, but I had to quadruple it because it's a giant ass Friendsgiving for like 25 whatever people. So I quadrupled it, but I was getting ready simultaneously and I accidentally overcooked the Brussels sprouts. And if you guys know anything about Brussels sprouts, it starts to smell like sulfur and it gets mushy. And I tasted it and I was like, fuck, the Brussels sprouts are mushy as hell. And I made an executive decision. I decided to order some Brussels sprouts from a restaurant nearby to get it delivered to the Friendsgiving place. And Nat, how amazing was the timing though? Like it was about to show up at the exact same time we ended up there. It was
No,
amazing.
it did not. We waited an additional 10 minutes.
Okay.
Her delivery person ended up using the bathroom, and I don't think it was just a number one. It was definitely a number
You
two
were
or even
literally
three scale.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know what the hell he did, but he definitely stopped for at least 5 to 10 minutes. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? He's not moving. But in any case, this bitch, I'm sorry, my,
Me? Are you
yeah,
calling me a
you,
bitch?
love
Oh,
you. Natalie, though, she records me, and as she's recording me, I literally looked at her and I was like, you will be dead to me if you post this anywhere or if you tell anybody about this situation.
yeah, I'm recording her putting her restaurant bought Brussels sprouts into a aluminum container, which made it look like she made them from scratch, which she
Well,
did not.
no one needs to know that. First of all, who's going to put out like 5 containers of small little Brussels sprouts? That's
I don't know.
I was trying to conserve space. If anything, that was me being
No,
considerate.
no, there's no way because as I'm
That's what
watching
I'm
her do this and
saying.
recording her, she goes, if you tell anyone, you're dead to me. She goes, if you post this anywhere, she goes, you're dead. So you're going to walk in and act like I made this. So we walk into the damn party and I keep saying like, wow, Deepti, what's the recipe for these Brussels sprouts? They're so good.
I told
And
you know what's funny is I told you not to tell anyone, but I literally after I walked in 6 minutes of being at Friendsgiving, I literally told 3 people already.
I
I was like,
know.
shh, don't tell anyone. I was like, I'm the worst.
I know. She told like some
Uh,
people, but she didn't want to tell a few of her friends who like to criticize her cooking skills or like think that Deepti can't cook. And then I posted it on my stories
I'm
and
fucking dead.
Deepti was like, "This is criminal." And her friend
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, Deepti didn't make those from scratch?" And I was
You
like,
know what's
"No,
funny?
she sure didn't."
You know what's funny is that like all the Brussels sprouts like were the first gone, and I literally was running around the whole place being like, "Oh my god, did you guys see how good those Brussels sprouts are? Everyone had some." I was fucking dying.
Literally, there was
But
like no more Brussels sprouts left, and there was 25 to 30 people there, and I was probably like 20 in line to like get food, and it was all gone. Because I wanted
wait,
to sit down and make the joke and be like, where are these Brussels sprouts from? Like,
see, the universe is
what's
on my
this?
side.
And I couldn't even do it. I was thinking about making that joke all night, and I couldn't
Oh
even
my
do it.
gosh.
Because people love the
They
from
loved my
scratch
Brussels
Brussels
sprouts.
sprouts.
Can I tell
Anyways,
you, I'm so mad that my friends question my cooking skills because they met me. These are like newer friends of like 2 years. They met me not in my cooking era. My cooking era was when I was in a relationship for 6 years and I had to cook this motherfucker food every fucking day. You know what? I'm sick of it. I'm in my salad era. Okay.
I want to make merch with that. I had to cook this motherfucker food. The other, if we did have merch, the other thing would be love that.
Like, we got to do like because the amount of
Like,
times we say like.
no, the amount of times we go, I was gonna say you go. Wait, so like when we transition
Oh
topics,
yeah. Or I agree with
well,
you. I completely agree with you.
or I go like he said, quote unquote, 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 quote unquote.
You couldn't pay me to do the quote.
Anyways, so merch coming soon.
Merch coming soon. If you guys have any fun merch ideas for us that we've said that you like, let us know on our Instagram page at Out of the Pods, please.
Wow, I love that plugin. Yes, let us know. But first on the list is definitely going to be like, I love that.
Oh, I love that.
You're like, love that.
Hey, one thing that we
Next
are
question.
is consistent. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, we are really excited for this next segment. So on our Instagram page last week, we asked you guys to submit your dating or relationship stories that Deepti and I can react to, provide our advice on, or just be like a listening ear. So we're going to share some of the submissions that we got from you guys. So we're really excited to read them. Deepti, you want to read the first story?
Yes. Dude, can I just tell you, this is my literal dream. I fucking love giving advice. So I'm super
You
excited for
do.
this.
I love
Okay.
judging people. So this is great. I'm just kidding.
I love you. Okay. All right. Story number 1. My friend of 10 plus years has been single for about 7 years and has wanted to be in a relationship for a while. She's 31. 6 months ago, she met a guy on a trip. They hit it off and started dating. Within a month, they're at each other's places all the time. He's brought her as a plus one to at least 5 weddings since they've got together. And they said they loved each other about 2 to 3 months in. I thought it was a little soon to be so involved with their friend group and family. I wondered if he was the type that just wanted a relationship to do relationship things with, but kept that to myself because they seemed happy and in love. 2 weeks ago, she called upset and thought they needed to break up because he hasn't made plans to see her in about 1.5 weeks. He's been texting her in a dismissive tone and doesn't seem to want to move the relationship forward. She said she felt like he doesn't want to be with her and grow their relationship. It seems like the only thing he wants to do is group things. She said she's felt like he's been a bit distant the last few weeks. Then a day later, she says they're working through it. So it seems like she's kind of flip-flopping. But he hasn't tried to see her, to talk to her in person, except for inviting her to a sports game, which is the effort for a date. But he hasn't come to see her in person to discuss their concerns with each other. Only text messages and phone calls. I personally don't think he's making the effort, and she thinks the honeymoon phase is just over because they've been dating for a while. I don't believe 6 months for the honeymoon phase to fizzle is normal. Should I be the supporting friend and wait till she comes to her own conclusion, or try to talk to her about my concerns? I don't want to overstep or hurt her or make her feel like I'm judging her choices. But I do worry that this won't go the way she's hoping and that she's dragging out the inevitable and ultimately will be more hurt in the end. Ooh, I have some thoughts.
Ooh, is this about me?
Is this play about us?
Wait, what?
I'm dead. Okay, wait. I have some thoughts. Do you want to go first?
Okay, so I have felt something similar before in the relationship with New York City boy, where I felt like there was like this moment where the same level of effort wasn't being made. And that's really hard, especially when you're in a long distance relationship. And in my head, I was like, oh, it has to be because we're out of the honeymoon phase.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's more factors in play where he started like doubting and thinking about the future of us.
Yes.
And that was like, obviously, we've worked through that right now. But at the time, that's where where I felt his distance, where he was like thinking about what's the future of this relationship, particularly in my situation, because we were long distance and not kind of settling on a location, Chicago or New York City. I Here's the thing: is she has to have a conversation with her boyfriend, but as her friend, my thing is like share what you need to share and leave it at that. Don't like bug her, you know. And if she's not listening to your concerns, like if she doesn't want it, here's as her friend though, I think you should only give your advice if she asks for it. I think that if she is trying to make the relationship work, you just need her to come to her own conclusion.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I
you know,
agree.
I don't think, I think if her head is set on trying to make it work, like she's going to try to make it work, you could voice your concerns, but don't do it to a place where it causes friction in your friendship. Like it's her
Yeah.
life at the end of the day. Unless he's like, if she's being placed in a dangerous situation, he's abusive, whatever, like, yes, then you step in. But in this case, I would say share your concerns if she's asking for it and then step out.
Yeah. I think for me, I've been in both situations before. I've been the friend that, like my friends have been trying to give me advice to get out of a relationship. And I've also been the friend who's the listening ear for somebody who's going through like a lot in their relationship. And I would agree. I think one, the fact that her friend is calling you, this person who we're talking about, the fact that she's calling you and saying, hey, like I'm having issues, that already means that you're involved. So she's like, at some point, she's like asking for advice or she's like looking to vent something, right? So I think like, again, you have to be able to speak your mind and be honest about it and say, hey, like, I'm not sure if this is going to go anywhere, if he's treating you like this. And you should be very clear and tell her, hey, like, these are my concerns, and I think you should have the same concerns. But then after you give her that advice, you just let her do whatever she wants to do, because she needs to learn it the hard way. And listening to a friend isn't going to just make her like make up her mind, because if there's feelings involved, like it's just not going to work, you know? So let her play out her relationship how she needs to, but you do have to be like the listening ear, and, you know, just give her, be upfront and give her the advice that you don't see it going anywhere, but like word it in a way that's not so harsh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my
Okay.
advice.
It's very interesting. Because I disagree. I think the best way um is like one of the things that one of my best friends does to me a lot, which I really appreciate, is when I text her about like something I'm going through, like whether it's relationship or dating related, she always goes, "Are you just looking to vent or do you want my advice?" And
I
sometimes I'm just
exactly.
looking to vent. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
my side is like, hey, if she is venting or she just needs someone to listen to her, be that listening ear if you want to. You could also set your boundary and just be like,
No, I
look, I feel
agree.
like this isn't going anywhere, like
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, like Deepti said too, if she asks for your like opinion or your advice, share it. And that's kind of,
Yeah.
you just have to kind of
Natalie,
like be there for her.
do you mean like if she's constantly coming to you to vent, that can take a mental toll on you, and so you got to like set your boundary on how much of that venting you're going to allow. You know what I mean? Because if it's like a back and forth constantly, it gets draining for your friend. So,
Yeah, I always say like I'm not sure. I don't know. It's tough because I've never been in a position, but I think I've heard within like even talking to like other people is sometimes like friends will like trauma dump on their friends. So if it gets to a point where you just like don't want to hear about it or you feel like what are you coming to me for, you could also set that boundary. I think
100%.
yeah.
I've been that friend.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
um so yeah, you could I would say no, well I guess that's it.
Yeah, I would say it's okay to feel like, I think like in a friendship you should be honest, but to a certain degree, and allow your friend to go through the relationship without intervening. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think but I do think that based on what you laid out, yeah, there it is kind of concerning. I feel like it says a lot if someone just kind of becomes distant after 6 months. There's one thing of like becoming more settled and comfortable in a relationship, but I think feeling some sort of distant and not seeing a lot of effort, like your friend and her boyfriend need to have that conversation of how she's feeling, and he's either going to want to change it or not. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see. Keep us updated.
Yeah.
All right. So here's another story from one of our listeners. It says, I am 26 years old, female, and currently live by myself in a tiny but expensive 1 bedroom apartment. My boyfriend of 3 years rents an old house that belongs to his grandfather. My boyfriend has been asking me to move in with him with a plan to renovate the home together and eventually purchase the home at a decreased price for the work we put into it. It would not be a forever home by any means. It is very old and needs a lot of work, and most of what we would do would be cosmetic. The house is just a way for us to get a foot in the door during this crazy housing market. My issue is this. My lease is up in June 2024. I received an email from my landlord that I need to make a decision on re signing by January 2024 because the demands for housing are that high in my area. My boyfriend has a roommate, we can call him B, who he has been friends with since childhood. Long story short, B moved in with him about a year ago. B stays in his room nearly 24/7, has a child but is a deadbeat dad, so no custody, no effort, was fired from his job, and has no license. He took the bus to work initially. If he doesn't get a job, he will be kicked out of my boyfriend's house. But the kicker is, my boyfriend somehow feels that the 7 months between now and my lease ending isn't enough time for his roommate to find somewhere to live. I get it. He has no job. He's a loser. And my boyfriend admits he is an asshole. I would have to move in and have this guy as my roommate for 5 months until November 2024, as that is the date my boyfriend feels comfortable giving as a timeline to move out. I cannot express how much I don't want to live with B, especially following a recent incident where I hosted a Friendsgiving with my boyfriend at their house and B contributed nothing to the event, which is okay because he wasn't explicitly invited, but proceeded to insult my friends during the event, partied with everyone, and then proceeded to eat all of the leftovers. I legitimately saw red after this. What do I do? My boyfriend and I have been arguing about this issue and I'm exhausted by it. My boyfriend feels that I am not willing to make this sacrifice to live together for a few months, and I understand he can't afford really to not have a roommate. My boyfriend feels as though I'm not invested in this relationship because now I'm dragging my feet on agreeing to living together. I love him, I see a future, but I know he struggles with confrontation and anxiety, and this isn't an easy situation. I feel so confused and I need an objective outlook on the situation. The benefits would be B isn't staying indefinitely. I would save a ton of money moving in and would have a house instead of an apartment and be closer to my parents and finally get to live with my boyfriend. The downside is B, the roommate. Oof.
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts. And okay, I right off the bat, and when you were reading that, I was getting frustrated with her boyfriend
Same.
because, right, like if you're gonna have a future with your girlfriend and you want to like take the step to live together, then I think that should be the step. It shouldn't be let me live together with you and my best childhood best friend who's also not the greatest person. I think that's just like strains the relationship. And this might be an opportunity for her boyfriend to really get out of his comfort zone and like tackle a situation that's right in front of him. And I'm sorry, 7 months notice to have somebody move out is a long time. Like, why
But
would he need more than 7 months?
here's what I don't get because she says if B doesn't get a job, he'll be kicked out of my boyfriend's house. But the kicker is my boyfriend somehow feels like 7 months between now and my lease ending isn't enough time. So I was like, if he does get a job, is he staying at the house?
Yeah,
Regardless, it sounds like our listener does not want to live with B. And so if I were her, I would set the ultimatum of like, look, it's either I move in or I don't like I would set if I were her, I would set the ultimatum either I move in and you kick B out by the time I move in, June 2024, or we're not living together.
I completely agree. I'm not agreeing to live with you and your friend. I'm agreeing to live with you, my boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's
If
the,
your boyfriend is saying you're not willing to make the sacrifice to live together, well, clearly he isn't too. It goes both ways, right?
yeah,
Like he should
absolutely.
make the sacrifice of telling his friend, like, hey, sorry, you have to move out, and literally giving him now till what, June 2024, when you would potentially be moving in. That is plenty of time
It's so
for him
much
to find a
time to
place.
I 100% agree. And also it feels like, B is being a little bit coddled by her boyfriend because like I totally agree when someone has a rough patch, be there for your friend. But in this instance, like the way she's explained it, it almost feels like her boyfriend is kind of like enabling B's behavior. And maybe he does need some tough love. And that is, you know what? And also B should understand that like his friend is trying to move on and create a life and a family, and
Yeah.
he should be understanding of that. As much as her boyfriend might feel a little apprehensive and anxious about the situation, it's going to feel so good for him to just be like, hey, I want to prioritize my girlfriend and I want to start a life together. And it's just time that you move in. And 7 months' time is plenty of time for him to find a place.
Yeah. I think it's like setting your boundaries. And honestly, I would say, like, if your boyfriend is making you feel like you're not making a sacrifice, you're not invested in the relationship, you could say the same thing about him.
Hmm.
He is clearly that's your boundary. You don't want to live with B.
Yeah. And also like it's going to set a really good tone for you guys when you move in together too. To be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, this is my boundary." I think it like establishes good, I don't know, just good relationship skills to be like, "Let's work on this conflict together before we even move in." I think that's like and how you handle that conflict together will say a lot about your relationship. And I think that's very important. So
Yeah, I
I hope
mean,
you, yeah,
I hope you figure it out. I would
yeah,
say, like, I personally don't think you are at any means in the wrong. I
yeah,
think that it's unfair. It sounds like because B doesn't have a job, he's probably living for very little rent or for free at your boyfriend's grandfather's home. And I think that's not okay. Like, I don't know the circumstances, and maybe I think there's like a line of like helping your friend out. And then there's another line when it starts impacting your relationship. I think there's a line of like helping your friend, and then another line of like, how do you have it not impact your relationship to the extent it sounds like this is impacting yours? So your boyfriend actually needs to make a choice. It's not
yeah.
you that needs to make a choice, it's actually your boyfriend.
Yeah, and also I don't think that you should feel bad for our listener who's going through this. Don't feel bad about like not wanting to live with this person because your home is your sanctuary. That's where
Yeah.
you like find comfort and like you should feel safe in that environment. And if someone's in your space that you don't want them to be, I think that's a wholeheartedly your right to be like, well, then I'll wait to move in with you if this is important to you. And you have every right to do that or tell him, hey, I'm not going to live with both of you. It's you and only you. I think you're completely in the right to do that. So
Yeah. I'm not lying. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pissed at your boyfriend too.
I kind of
So
am too. I think he's just avoiding conflict. But listen, I hate conflict too. I hate confrontation, but this is a big deal. It's a big deal and 7 months is plenty of time, girl. Goodbye, B.
yeah. Anyways, so please keep us
Yeah.
updated on this. I'm very, very curious.
I know I'm
Um,
invested.
we're going to continue giving our advice and insights on your dating and relationship situations in future episodes. So if we did not read your story today, do not worry. We'll probably read it in one of our later episodes. But thank you to these two readers for submitting their stories. We hope we were helpful. No need to actually listen to our advice, but this is just what we think. So if you want to submit your stories, just go to our Instagram page. We have our contact information there.
Yes. And make sure you guys leave a review and subscribe.
See you next Wednesday.
Bye.